development with regards to a claim coming from the TMC, where the Trinamool Congress has in fact criticized the temporary takeover of the Minority Affairs Ministry by Smriti Irani. This was after the incumbent minister, Mr. Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi, had to vacate office because his Rajya Sabha term ended. And Smriti Irani took additional charge as the Minority Affairs Minister, and the TMC has now hit out at this particular decision. Let me go across to Madhav Das Gopalakrishnan for more on this. Madhav, what can you tell us about the reaction that's come in from the TMC about this additional charge taken over by Smriti Irani, as well as the counter reaction that's come in from the BJP as well?
This is Jawahar Sircar, who's a member of parliament of the TMC and also, of course, has been a former bureaucrat here at the centre. And his tweet really earlier in the day, where he had said that Smriti Irani was assigned the charge of the Ministry of Minority Affairs after Naqvi resigns. Hardcore Hindu married to Parsi given charge of Muslims, Christians. Is this BJP's brand of secularism? So questioning over there of the fact that a non-minority person was given the charge of the Minority Affairs Department, and also, of course, a response now coming in from the Union Law Minister Kiren Rijiju. He has responded saying, Muslims and Christians, ? I hope one can free mind from the shackles of pseudo-secularism and appeasement politics. Muslims, Sikhs, Christians, Buddhists, Jains and Parsis have been notified as minority communities under Section 2C of the National Commission of Minorities Act 1992. So clearly, of course, heated political debate on this issue is only expected in coming days. Announcement really of Naqvi stepping down or resigning as a union cabinet minister and, of course, relinquishing the charge of minority affairs, as well as Smriti Irani had come several days ago last week. But now, of course, this kind of heated debate on the issue or the charge really that is being made by opposition that a person who is not belonging to the minority community has been given charge of that department coming up once again, and
right.
the response being given by the centre as well.
Right, Madhav. Let me just interrupt you there, because we're also being joined right now by the BJP, Shehzad Poonawalla, as well as the NCP's Majid Memon. Mr. Memon, coming to you first. First and foremost, do you agree with the tweet that's been put out by Mr. Jawahar Sircar of the TMC questioning the appointment of Smriti Irani as Minority Affairs Minister, saying that this is an assault on secularism? How would you respond to that?
Democracy, it is the prerogative of the Prime Minister to appoint ministers and assign portfolios to them. Now, till recently, Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi, although a Muslim by name, was a minority minister, but hardly did he rise to, raise any objections when Muslims were deprived of their fundamental rights, basic rights, and they were lynched, etc. But we thought that we have been experiencing that Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi was just for namesake a Muslim minister, but he did not do anything worth mentioning about Muslims. So now Smriti Irani, we need not go into the personal life of any minister. And these ministers are not independent to work the way they like. They are all like bonded laborers. They have to follow the principles and the policies of the government, the ideology of the government and all that. So therefore, we don't find any difference whether it is Smriti Irani or Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi. How is the opinion, what is the opinion of the NDA government about minorities is what matters.
Let me take this across to Shehzad Poonawalla. Shehzad, the shocking reaction, some would say, coming from the TMC, there's no laid down rule that somebody who occupies the office of the Ministry of Minority Affairs necessarily needs to belong to a designated minority community in the country. So how would you respond to what the TMC has said and also what Mr. Majid Memon has now said?
First of all, Jawahar Sircar's party, the TMC, actually stands for Tushtikaran Mujhe Chahiye, and therefore in his conception and misguided conception, minorities only means Christians and Muslims. I am a proud Indian Muslim, but the minority community of this country also includes Sikhs, Christians, Buddhists, Jains and Parsis. So why has he ignored all of them? Do they not have an adequate right and equal right? Secondly, there is no compulsion that a person belonging to only one community should be the one heading the Minority Affairs Ministry. And she has been given the additional charge. She's a very competent minister. We need a competency, not the community. We need competency. And this is the problem. The problem is that we remember UPA government, of which TMC was a part, always said that the first right of the resources of this country belongs to one community. Never did they say it belongs to all the poor. As far as Mr. Majid Memon is concerned, I am shocked that he is using such language for Smriti Irani, a very qualified and competent minister, is being called bonded labor just because she happens to be a woman who struggled and risen up to the top. Majid Memon and his patriarchal mindset will call her a bonded labor. What kind of language is Mr. Majid Memon using? And by the way, Mr. Majid Memon, it is better that she handles this portfolio. Your ministers are in jail. Mr. Nawab Malik is in jail for having relations with Dawood Ibrahim's sister. So what do you think? What is better, community or competence? It is shocking that this kind of commentary is even being made, personal allegations, and Jawahar Sircar is known to spread fake news and to say things which do not behove the position that he holds. I hope he will correct himself. There is no such compulsion that any person only belonging to one community can head the Minority Affairs Ministry. And by the way, does his conception not include Jains, Sikhs, Parsis, Buddhists? I would like to ask Mamta Banerjee, that does minority in this country only mean Muslims and Christians for her?
Right, Shehzad, let me just interrupt you there, but I urge you to stay with us. Thanks, Mr. Memon, for joining us. We're also currently being joined by Mr. Atul Anjan of the CPI for his response. Mr. Anjan, the TMC has, in fact, shown exception to the fact that Smriti Irani has taken over as the Minister for Minority Affairs after Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi left office. They're saying that this is an assault on secularism. How would you respond to what the TMC has said?
One thing is that in the Bharatiya Janata Party, no Muslim minority, which is the biggest minority of the country, is now representing either in assembly or parliament. Only one person now left, Shahnawaz Hussain of Bihar, who is a Muslim and who has got elected by legislative council, not directly. No Muslim candidate has been given ticket by the Bharatiya Janata Party to contest the elections. When you don't have the MLAs or MPs, what to do? Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi was a Rajya Sabha member. His term is over. He was denied ticket. Now what to do? It is the prerogative of the Prime Minister to give department to somebody. It would have been better a minority ministry, Department of Minority Affairs should have been given to the biggest minority of the country. But what to do when the BJP does not enjoy the support of the minorities of this country?
But Mr. Anjan, there's no laid down rule that somebody who occupies the office of the Minister for Minority Affairs necessarily needs to be a part of any designated minority community. So perhaps the BJP would in fact object to what you've just said there. But we'll take a short break for the time being. We'll continue this debate after this break. Stay tuned for more updates.